Good morning. So today we're going to be talking about Egypt, and specifically we're going to be covering the period of the Old Kingdom. But before we do that, we're going to start off with talking about Egypt in the pre-dynastic period and the very kind of origins of Egypt. So if you recall, last time we had talked a little bit about the chronology of Egypt as well as the chronology of the Bronze Age, which coincide with each other. And so today we're going to be, as I said, jumping into Egypt. So if you recall, last time we had discussed how the year 3100 is often accepted as the beginning of the early dynastic period, from around 3100 to 2686. And the reason for that, the 3100 part, is that's when we have King Narmer. So King Narmer is generally accepted as the first ruler of Egypt, the first king, the first kind of pharaoh, if you will. And he is also credited as being the one who united Lower and Upper Egypt. Now, whether he did this through peaceful means or through war is still up for debate, but generally it looks, if we follow the evidence, it looks like it was done through war. That's at least what the Narmer stele says. It's a famous stele that depicts Narmer using some sort of a war mace to conquer what appear to be the Nubian people. So this, and conquering southern Egypt. So the Nubians were an African race of people that were famed for their archery. And then this, bear in mind too, this is before the chariot. If you recall, we had talked about when the chariot was invented. So this is believed to have been fought on land with, and the king himself isn't depicted with a chariot. He's depicted with his hand raised with a weapon, as I said, a mace. So this is really early on in the period, and he united, as I said, Lower and Upper Egypt, so quite an important fellow. And then that's what started a dynasty leading to the dynastic period, and then I'm going to skip over the rest of the early dynastic period, and I'm going to cover the Old Kingdom. Now, the Old Kingdom is from roughly 2686 to 2181 BC. And the Old Kingdom is the age of the pyramid builders. So we're going to be covering, not all, but we're going to be covering a few of the important people. And as I said, I'm not going to go into the dynasties, but this is roughly the 6th or the 4th dynasty. So yeah, just if you're interested. But going back to the important people, so we had talked about King Narmer in the early dynastic period, and then we also have we have Djoser, who built the step pyramids, and it was kind of, the pyramids just didn't come all at once. There were some that ultimately failed and crumbled to the ground. There were some that were kind of imperfect, some that were at different angles, so they weren't at the perfect angle the whole time. But Djoser is the one who built the step pyramid, and not only did he build the step pyramid, he also built the temple at Memphis, and he actually switched the capital to Memphis, and Memphis would remain the capital for most of ancient history. Okay, also he built, as I said, the step pyramid, and then talking about pyramids some more, so he was succeeded by Snefru, his son, and I'm sorry, not succeeded, but then Snefru is also the one who he perfected the art of building pyramids, and he got them to the perfect shape, as I was discussing. And then Snefru was succeeded by his son Khufu, and this is the guy who built the Great Pyramid of Egypt. Okay, so after this we'll see a change as we get into the later periods of Egyptian history. They're going to switch from building pyramids to great burial mounds, because the pyramids, they're big structures and they're easy to find, so grave robbers even back in the day were trying to get to those treasures and doing so successfully. So they'd have to get through more clever means of hiding all their treasures so that they could be, for their sake, it was so that they could be safe in the afterlife and continue to rule. So hopefully you found this video interesting. If you did, give it a like and a thumbs up, and continue to watch the series. Thank you. Bye. Oh, one more thing before I let you guys go. So we had mentioned how King Narmer had unified Lower Egypt, kind of conquering Lower Egypt and uniting Egypt into what we know as more or less Egypt today, and for the remainder of the near history as well. And it's generally accepted that this was done through warfare. When we look at the evidence, it does appear that there was actually a fight. It could just be propaganda, of course. We have to be skeptical when we're looking at our primary sources, but there does seem to be some archaeological evidence to support a battle that took place in order to unify Egypt. But bear in mind, a lot of the artwork and depictions, of course, they want to make the pharaoh look good, so it could make him look good to say that there was a big battle, even if none had taken place at all. But it does appear that there was a battle. And then also talking about raids into, I had mentioned Nubia and the Nubian archers. It appears there was, not appears, there was continued warfare in the Old Kingdom between the Nubians and even in parts of Asia as well. Asia, so there was a lot of warfare during this period, and also there was an increase in trade. They were trading things like frankincense and myrrh, gold, and I wanted to talk a little bit about mining as well. So mining was important. Obviously, they had the Nile River for trade, and this was important because rather than flowing like most rivers, it flows the opposite direction as most rivers. So you could use sail power to go one way up the river, and then you could use your oars to go the other way, and you can just go with the current as well. So this allowed for great use of the river for trade and also, of course, agriculture. It was predictable, which gave Egypt a rare advantage compared to the other civilizations. But there was also gold to be had, and this is part of the reason for the conflicts with their neighbors, is to try and get access to some of those rare minerals. But the mining of this period, it was called pit mining. And so that basically it's as simple as it sounds. You dig a hole, you dig a pit, and then you take the gold out of the pit. So it's pretty simple, but when done in mass, it could result in lots of gold being found. And interesting fact, this is actually the same method that was used by Mansa Musa much later in Africa in order to get lots of gold, and that's kind of what he's famous for. So thanks for watching the video. Have a great day.